Hi, everyone. My name is Grover Wayman Brown. I'm Communications Manager here at EBHO. And my colleague, Kiki Poe, is going to start us off by welcoming us today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this beautiful afternoon. Let's see. So some of you are new to EBHO, so I want to give a quick kind of description of who we are, what we're doing, and why we participate in Affordable Housing Month. So again, I'm Kiki Poe. I'm the Membership and Operations Director with EBHO, or East Bay Housing Organizations. And since 1984, we've been working with members and community folks to create, preserve, and protect affordable housing opportunities for low-income communities in the East Bay by advocating, organizing, educating, and building coalitions. And in May, we celebrate Affordable Housing Month to call attention to the housing affordability crisis, to lift up solutions, and of course, to celebrate our achievements. And this year marks our 25th annual Affordable Housing Month. Very exciting. All of you here with us today, you're joining hundreds of people across Alameda and Contra Costa counties. And we're excited that we had 13 events this month. So we're gonna pop the count. There you go, Grover's already done it. Grover put a link in the chat. You can still join us at a few more events this month, or you can check out our website. We have some recordings from previous events, including our annual celebration. It was virtual, but it was still fun, exciting. We were able to honor some work of our coalition partners and members. We had a beautiful performance by Oakland's own Kev Choice. Please check it out. We believe that communities are healthiest and most powerful when we have quality, affordable homes for all, and when those most affected by the housing crisis can shape their own future. So today we celebrate and we learn, but after this, let's make sure that we take action. We're also excited to release our new study room, our virtual study room. And this replaces the printed Affordable Housing Guidebook, which so many of us have used. And we are still able to use it as an education hub. So thank you to everyone who has supported the study room, who has purchased ad space, who's supported with content, and sharing your own stories. So finally, I invite you to join us as a member, as an active member, so you can help also create, preserve, and protect affordable homes for all. We know that when we do this together, we have a greater impact. And we get to create an East Bay where everyone is housed and everyone lives in a beloved community. So I'm going to hand this over to our admin associate, Aziza Crowder, who's going to walk us through a land acknowledgement so we can honor the original people of the East Bay.
Thank you, Kiki. Hello, everyone. As we gather to celebrate affordable housing and promote housing justice, we must also acknowledge Indigenous people as the stewards of the land on which we live and build. The East Bay is the unceded territory of the Lisjan Ohlone people. As we work against the displacement of the people in our community, we recognize and name the histories of displacement of communities that existed here before us. We also uplift the work of our Ohlone neighbors to create spaces of belonging. EBHO is in the process of paying Shumi, a voluntary land tax that supports the work of the Sogorote Land Trust, which returns Ohlone land to Ohlone people. And we'll be engaging with our members and supporters later this year to encourage you all to do the same. We'll plug in some resource links for you in the chat as well. Stay tuned. Back to you, Grover.
Thank you, Aziza and Kiki. And I just gonna pull up my slides. Great, thank you. And Kiki mentioned that this event is part of Affordable Housing Month. And so we'd like to thank our sponsors of programming this month, who are pictured here on your screen. And the event today is how to find an affordable community invested rental home. As I mentioned, my name is Grover Wayman Brown. I am communications manager here at EBHO. And I'm a formerly unhoused person who, like millions of people in our country, has experienced the stress of trying to find housing I could afford when I needed it very badly. Our presentation today will share information about the path to secure an affordable home in the East Bay, specifically an affordable home that is affordable because it is created with community investment, usually in the form of taxes. Some call this type of affordable housing subsidized affordable housing. I think of it as an investment in our community and each other. There are other ways that a home can be affordable to a person, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I want to be clear that today's conversation is focused on affordable rental housing that is invested in or subsidized by our collective taxes or other public resources. A couple of housekeeping notes. Captions are available if you click the CC button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And this is a webinar style event. We'll cover a lot of information in a short amount of time. You're welcome to type questions in the question and answer box, and we will type answers to the questions if they are short, clear answers that we can provide. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A session, and we'll unmute and ask our panelists to answer live if we have time. I will also share a follow-up email that will share the links that we shared in the chat box, as well as the slides that our panelists are using, and also a link to the video recording afterwards. First, I want to set some context for our conversation today, which is that there are not enough affordable homes in the Bay Area to meet the needs of our communities. This is evidenced by high rates of homelessness, people unable to stay in the communities they were raised in, and families doubled up. My guess is that many of you are joining us today because you feel and see this in your life. Racial discrimination in jobs, housing, and wealth accumulation has resulted in low-income Black and Indigenous residents in particular experiencing homelessness at much higher rates than white residents here in Alameda County. And it's not okay. It's not okay that Black residents experience racial discrimination and inequality that result in these outcomes, and it's not okay that there is not enough affordable homes that low-income people can afford. This image from the National Low-Income Housing Coalition shows that in the US, there's a gap of 7 million rental homes that need to be affordable to extremely low-income households to meet the current need. Here at EBHO, we work to change this by advocating for affordable homes that protects tenants' rights, preserve existing affordable housing, and produce more of the community invested in affordable homes that we so desperately need. We also work for housing justice as racial justice and believe that the two are always intertwined. In California specifically, as housing costs and the wages of high-earning people have soared, the wages of low-income workers and people on fixed incomes, such as retirees and people with disabilities, have not, and many are not able to pay the high cost of housing. A worker would need to earn $6,633 a month to afford a 2-bedroom market rate apartment, according to the 2020 average market rate rental price in California. When I say that a person can afford it or not afford it, what do I mean? Well, the general rule and standard used by government entities is that a home is affordable if a household spends no more than 30% of their income on housing costs such as rent or mortgage. Many people who own their home or who have a high earning job have a home that's affordable to them, meaning they pay less than 30% of their income on housing costs. If a household spends more than 30%, they're considered housing cost burden, which strains the well-being in other areas of life, such as the ability to pay for healthcare costs, education expenses, food, transportation, and save for emergencies. Households that are housing cost burdened are at a higher risk of experiencing homelessness if something were to happen, like job loss or injury. So what I'm showing here is a chart that outlines the level of affordability based on what is called the area median income. This chart takes data from the state of California as a whole, but each county and city has its own specific area median income that is used to determine eligibility for community invested or subsidized affordable rental homes. So for example, a family of 4 that has an income of $65,000 a year would be considered to make 50% of the area median income and qualify for affordable housing units that are designated for people in that income bracket. An affordable rent for that income, meaning it's 30% of less of the income, would be $1,631. And I'm sure that our panelists are going to cover this in more detail. later on. This is just one example of a 4-person household, and in the follow-up email, I will share a link to Alameda County and Contra Costa County AMI charts. And if it's possible, somebody might drop it into the chat as well. Before we move on to our expert panelists, I will share that there are 4 types of community invested or subsidized affordable rental housing that we are likely to talk about today. The first and common type of affordable housing, which is often what people mean when they say the phrase affordable housing, is housing built and managed by a mission-driven nonprofit affordable housing provider. Kathy, William, and Daniel will all speak about this type of housing. Publicly owned rental housing is known casually as public housing and is home to more than 1 million people across the nation. These homes are built and managed by public housing authorities. In the East Bay, we have a mix of county-based and city-based public housing authorities and a mix of nonprofit and public housing authority homes. Sometimes the 2 entities work together to create affordable homes. I will share a link to EBHO's resource list that has the numbers and links to East Bay housing authorities and nonprofit affordable housing providers after my presentation. Housing authorities are often the source of how someone would get on a wait list or get connected with a rental housing voucher, which is the 3rd type here. When someone has a tenant-based rental housing voucher, the person who has the voucher applies for usually a market rate rental apartment and pays 30% of their income to the landlord, even if that 30% is well below the cost of the apartment. The rest of the cost of the rent is paid directly from the entity that grants the voucher to the landlord. Finally, a community land trust is a nonprofit organization dedicated to buying properties in order to maintain them for communal uses, including affordable housing. Sarah will share information about this type of affordable housing today. While we don't yet have enough affordable homes or housing vouchers to meet the needs, spots at affordable housing communities do come available. In the last few months, multiple housing communities that are funded with Alameda County Measure A1 funds have opened. EBHO is part of advocating for Measure A1 funds, and it's really great to see those finally coming online. We hope that this workshop can help members of the community better understand our options and the process. Now, I'm pleased to introduce our speakers today. William Goodwin is a resident of affordable housing and a member of Hope Solutions Resident Empowerment Program and an EBHO member. William, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Grover. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. My name is William Goodwin. I am a new board member with EBHO and, as Grover said, a member of the Resident Empowerment Program with Hope Solutions here in Contra Costa County. So yeah, my story is no different than countless others. After living in Oakland most of my life, the rising costs of rent forced me to migrate to Contra Costa County, where at the time I was able to afford a unit. And while everything was back to being affordable until I was diagnosed with a permanent disability and then terminated from my job. That catastrophic event created a spiraling effect where I lost my apartment, then all my personal belongings, which were in storage, and then my entire way of life. I ended up living with family and friends from couch to couch. Finally, thanks to the love of a family friend, I was able to find some stability living with that friend who basically saved my life. By the time I could afford a unit, it took us 7 years to find that affordable unit. And being disabled and single father, none of those things seemed to matter until my number was called. Being number 2,398 in a list of 2,500 applicants was a daunting reality. But here we are in a affordable unit that was developed by RCD, which is Resources for Community Development. You can say it was fate or God's will that we were able to secure this unit. We were the last to be called. And even though this unit is up a flight of stairs and I realize I have a disability, I took it. But I never forgot the other 2,425 other applicants on that wait list. That is now my fight, to advocate for the creation and retention of affordable housing. I feel bound to all of those who were left behind on somebody's wait list. That's why I'm here. But I would like to share some takeaways from my experience, if I may. The first takeaway, be ready. I carried a completed application on hand so that I could easily reference all my phone numbers and addresses quickly and consistently, have a valid, current, and acceptable form of identification, including Social Security cards for all your children. Verification of income, 3 months of pay stubs. For me, it was a letter, a Social Security letter, letter of income verification. Verification of residency and references if needed, and any other pertinent information, which depending on your situation could be a certificate of homelessness. Yes, that is a thing. And if you have a choice voucher, check your portability, because Contra Costa County has a housing authority, but some cities like Pittsburgh and Vallejo have their own housing authority. So you want to make sure that your voucher can be ported in, because that's super important. No matter what your situation, call 211. You don't want to find yourself exited out or on the street and not be in the coordinated entry system. Second takeaway, search and research. I searched the entire Bay Area, from Alameda to Union City to Pleasanton to Sonoma County. I searched the largest property managers of affordable housing, went to their websites, looked at all their site locations, and filled out applications to any that were available. Again, there is a lottery, there's a wait list, but I found that new construction might be a little easier because most affordable housing units already have an existing waiting list. At the time, I did not know, when I was doing my search, I didn't know anything about affordable housing. I had heard about low income housing, but the low income housing tax credit properties was new to me. But once I discovered that, it was a saving grace. And I also discovered that there is a pre-application lottery, you know, a wait list. There's always a wait list. In the meantime, do your research. Get a copy of your own credit report so that you can have answers to questions about derogatory information. I needed a certificate of credit counseling. Obtain a copy of your background check. Yes, once you pay that $40, you can get a copy. There'll be some pushback, but you want to see what they see. Have answers. The background check may not even be you. That happened to me once. And the last takeaway is finances. Be prepared with a money order to pay your application fee, your $40 for the background check, to speed up the process, because timing is everything. Have your first and last and deposit money situated. Look, I know that's easy to say, but if it's your family helping you, or if it's your savings, or if you're working with a resource organization like Shelter Inc., which does amazing work, by the way, the point is, have all of that ready to go. You don't want to provide landlords with any excuses as to why you can't be accepted that day, because again, timing is everything. Thank you.
Thank you, William, for that, your story, and for sharing those takeaways. It's really valuable and really great advice. I really appreciate it. Next, we will hear from Daniel Fagan, who is the leasing director with Mid-Penn Housing, where he currently oversees the marketing and lease up of newly constructed affordable housing communities throughout the Bay Area, which William referenced. So leading from one experience of looking to the experience of being on the other end of that paperwork. Daniel.
Yeah, thank you, Grover, and thank you, William, for sharing your story. It was valuable. Can everybody see my screen? Just want to make sure everybody can see this.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So once again, my name is Daniel Fagan. I'm a leasing director with Mid-Penn Housing, and I do help to oversee the lease up of our new affordable homes. What is Mid-Penn Housing? Mid-Penn Housing is a Bay Area-based affordable housing developer founded in 1970. We build, own, manage, and provide resident services to about 115 properties across 11 Bay Area counties. Our mission is to provide safe, affordable housing of high quality to those in need, and to establish stability and opportunity in the lives of our residents. How would one find an apartment with Mid-Penn Housing? The best resource is probably going to be our website. It's really easy. If you go to the website that's listed here, we have a little icon where that arrow is that says Find Housing. When you click on that, you're going to have a screen that looks like this, and you're going to see over here on the left where we have waitlist open, leasing status, interest list, waitlist closed. So these are some of our open waitlists that are across the Bay Area. Clicking on one of these properties will bring you to this next screen where you'll get a description of the property. It'll tell you how many units. If there's a specific population that the property is designed for, it'll list that here. And then over here on the right side, you'll have property contact information. You can also submit an online inquiry with each property. We have a phone number and an email. You can call or contact the property and they can send you an application or give you more information on how to apply. New properties. So as William mentioned, new properties sometimes present the biggest opportunity for those looking for affordable housing because we have vacant units in large supply. The best way to get information about this is to get your name on the interest list, which if I go back to this screen here, you can click on the interest list and it'll give you all of our properties that have open interest lists. So when MidPenn begins construction on a new property, an interest list is open. Construction usually takes about 12 to 18 months. 5 months prior to the completion of the construction, a flyer is sent out to all the names on the interest list. The flyer will give everyone information on where and how to apply. These are our current properties that are under construction in the Bay Area. You can see that we have properties that are in the South Bay region, Santa Cruz. We have East Bay in Livermore. Firehouse Square is going to be in Belmont. And then Foonlock West is in Oakland, and it's part of the Brooklyn Basin project that we are working on. So clicking on this and entering in your name, address, email, you'll go into a list, and then when we start marketing, you'll get something in the mail or emailed to you. Just remember that if you do change addresses, to update that address with us. Submitting an application. Applications can only be submitted during the open application periods via the following methods. We accept online applications, which are filled out on our website. We accept paper applications, which are available at our leasing office, which the directions or the address to that leasing office will be on that flyer that you receive in the mail. We also have PDF copies of the applications that can be downloaded online and can be submitted. Paper applications are accepted at the leasing office during office hours or via US mail. Applications must be received by the end of the open act period. We offer Section 8 and tax credit rents. Section 8 is a housing program, usually in partnership with the Housing Authority, where residents pay a rent that's based on 30% of their gross monthly income. Election to be on that list is usually a question that's on our application. Sometimes the housing authorities open up their own waiting lists, and we would advertise that in our marketing materials as well. Tax credit units are unsubsidized rents, where your rent is tied to the AMI, like what Grover had up on her screen just a moment ago. These are usually anywhere from 20 to 60% AMI. Residents must make at least 2 times the tax credit rent to be eligible. Here's an example of the AMIs and rents that were used on one of our more recent projects in Oakland. And you'll see here at the bottom, these are the rents that correspond to the AMI levels above. So a 30% rent, 1 bedroom would be $734. This is not including a utility allowance that would come off the top of these rents. So if there's a utility allowance on this 1 bedroom and the utility allowance is $100, that would be deducted, and the net rent that we would charge the resident would actually be $634. The resident selection criteria is a document that we create that outlines all the eligibility information for each community. Each affordable housing community, not just MidPenn's communities, will have one of these, and these are available to the public. Preferences. Often a property will have a local residency preference. This may cover all the units or just a fraction of the units on the property. This preference gives priority on the wait list to those that meet the preference. Preferences can be narrow as a neighborhood surrounding the property or as large as the county. Most frequently, we see local residency preferences at the city level, and those are usually a live-work preference. Sometimes they're live or work. So the community is, they're trying to give preference to their own residents or people that work in that community. There are also other kinds of preferences. Many times we're giving preferences to those that are displaced within that geographical region. Sometimes it's a no-fault eviction. Sometimes we're trying to capture people that were displaced due to a government action or redevelopment. We often give preference to homeless individuals and families, veterans. We often have preferences that relate to certain work industries. So farm workers, teachers, public employees. We're starting to see some properties where we're giving preference to applicants that do not own vehicles. We're also receiving referrals from outside agencies. So sometimes we may have 10 units that are assigned for individuals that are coming through a regional health plan. All that information, again, would be outlined in the resident selection criteria. And preferences are not just limited to those above. We're seeing all sorts of new preferences on projects. All preference statuses are verified at the intake appointment. Lotteries. Applicants are entered into a lottery and waitlists are created according to the lottery number and the preference indicated on the application. This process can take as long as 4 to 6 weeks from the close of the lottery. Oftentimes time is needed to enter the applications into a software system and upload data from a lottery. We're often seeing anywhere between 800 and 7,000 applications on a project. And it just takes time to get all that information entered into our software. The waitlist. Upon creation of the waitlist, the leasing staff will reach out to the applicant in batches to schedule the intake appointment. We generally contact 4 to 5 applicants for each unit we have available. This process starts about 3 to 4 months prior to construction completion. Existing properties will contact 4 to 5 applicants from their waitlist upon receiving a 30-day notice from an existing resident. Intake letters are sent to applicants. They may also be contacted by phone and email. They will have a limited time to respond. The intake appointment. All adult household members must attend the intake appointment. Mid-Penn requires a $45 per adult screening fee that's due at intake. We have translation services that are available, and we also accept reasonable accommodations at this time. For instance, if you need a larger unit or you need grab bars in the bathroom, any kind of modification to the unit due to a disability, we would take that request. Identification, income, and asset information is also provided at the intake. Any documents not provided at intake will be requested to be submitted as soon as possible. This is a longer list of the documents that are requested. I know this might be kind of hard to read. These are the documents that William had mentioned that he had prepared that were particularly helpful to have handy. And finally, you're approved. Once you're approved, you'll be contacted and offered a unit. If the unit's not available, you may be asked to pay a holding deposit, usually half the security deposit of the unit. First month's rent and security deposit are required to be paid by money order at the time of lease signing. If you're unable to accept the unit, you may choose to bypass. However, if you bypass a second time, you may be removed from the wait list. If you're denied, you have a right to submit an appeal in writing, and your file will receive a second review. And that's it. Thank you, everybody. If you guys have questions, put them in the chat, and I think we'll be getting to those in a little bit.
Great, thank you, Daniel. It's really clear and helpful. Next, we are going to hear from Kathy Everhart, who is a resident of affordable housing and a leader with EBHO's Resident Community Organizing Program, or RCOP, and a graduate of EBHO's Leadership Academy. Welcome, Kathy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kathy Eberhard. I'm a member of our COP committee with EBHO. And my story is very similar, a lot like William Goodwin's. Becoming permanently disabled later on in my life put me in a situation where I ended up homeless. And it took 18 months, literally, to get an affordable housing apartment. The way that I went about it, the very first thing I did was make sure my I's were dotted and my T's were crossed. I heard about a company called Spark Point, which deals in financial planning. I went to them to make sure I knew exactly what was on my credit report, if there was anything that was in discrepancy or anything that I needed to take care of. I did things if my credit report needed to be, my credit score needed to be raised a little bit to qualify. I made sure I did the things to allow for that to happen. So my first step was making sure my I's were dotted and my T's were crossed. Then after that, and let me tell you, finding affordable housing for me was like a full-time job plus overtime. I went on every website of affordable housing list to try and get on interest lists to find out who had a waiting list open. I had no idea that it took so much time and effort to secure a place, but it does. Like I said, I made sure I was put on affordable housing waiting lists and interest lists. I canvassed around to several apartments in different areas. I went all over Oakland. I didn't venture out to Hayward or anything like that or Fremont. I pretty much settled for being in Oakland. So I searched out all of those places. I um I made sure that I was at drawing departments that had lottery processes. Although I'm going to have to be honest, I am not a fan for the lottery process because I was getting numbers like 5,888 when they only had maybe 200 or less apartments. I was getting 2,867. The lottery process was not my friend. I apparently I am not lucky. So I also had to look for apartments that took other requirements or ways of getting on to securing an apartment. Thank God for the apartment that I'm in now. It was first come, first serve. And yes, I was at their door at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was there at 5 o'clock in the morning to make sure that I was the first come, first serve. But that is by the grace of God, the only way that I secured apartment. If I didn't find this first come, first serve apartment, then I would still be homeless today. So you have to check out all the different ways that the apartment company uh, uh, gets you into the apartment. You have to search out all different kinds of ways. Just don't do the lottery, just don't do online. Go out and canvas to find out as much information about the complexes as you can to get qualified in. Takes, it's like a full-time job with overtime. Um, once I was got everything secure with my financial status, my dotting my I's and crossing my T's, then at least I was feeling during this 18-month period of time that I was ready and there would be no hiccups or anything that get caught with my pants down that I wasn't going to be able to fulfill the requirement. So I stressed that in everything in any way. But yes, that is my story on finding affordable housing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Kathy, for sharing your story and your experience and what you know about crossing your eyes and dotting your I's and crossing your T's.
Yes, and looking every way possible for the requirements, because like I said, the lottery process was not my friend at all. So you got to make sure you have all the options available to you to secure an apartment. It takes a lot of time, a lot of consistent time and effort.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. Now we're going to hear from Pam Glassoff, who is the housing coordinator with Eden INR, which is what's at the other end of the line when you call Alameda County's 211 number. And they also operate Alameda County Choices website. And Pam's going to provide some context about how one would go from calling 211 and saying, I am unhoused, and integrating with finding housing. Pam.
Sorry about that. I'm Pam Glassoff with Eden INR. I've been with Eden INR about over 20 years. I am previously a housing case manager, like a housing navigator, and I worked with people who've been needing housing. So I've worked with unsheltered people for a long time, finding them affordable housing. Now I'm a housing coordinator and I manage the housing database. So I'm going to share my screen with you right now. And can everybody see that? All right. So 211, as many of you know, is a centralized place to find affordable housing as well as services in the community. Today, I'm going to talk about how Housing 211 does all the work of looking for affordable housing for you. We have a staff of 4 people. We every day, as Kathy was saying, we look at every website. We scrounge around. We find every interest list that's available, and we list it in our database so that you guys can have one centralized place to look for affordable housing. Our mission is to connect people to resources. We've been doing it for over 40 years. We envision a community empowered with information and connected to resources that people attain health, happiness, housing, and improved livelihoods. 211 is a free, non-emergency, confidential 3-digit phone number and service that provides easy access, as I said. Simply dial 211. People can't believe it. What? Dial 211 on your phone. If you're in the county, you'll get us in Alameda County. If you're outside the county and you want access to 211 Alameda County, you'll dial 888-886-9660. It's open 24 hours a day. Here's our friendly operators, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in multiple languages. Okay. So now you happen to live in a county that has something very unique, and it's unique to most 211s, which are across the country. Every state and county mostly has a 211. We are unique in that we have also, besides our services database, we have a housing database, which is unique to us. We cover 75,000 units in the county of Alameda. We cover Alameda County, and we have some units in adjoining counties. Matter of fact, we have Cary Mid-Penn's listings in our database in Santa Clara, and other units which we think are good prices, so we grab them and put them in our database just to serve you guys. We include many property details in the property, just as Daniel was saying. We include the prices, we include the eligibilities, we include do you have pets, et cetera, and the open periods that are so important to get into the property and apply during that period of time. We also include interest lists, as Daniel was mentioning before, new constructions. We also include those in our database too. We include affordable housing in our database. We include shared housing in our database, and we also include market rate housing, which is at the fair market rent. So it's at a good price. We keep that low, but we include all of that in our database. Okay, so this is the process. If you want an affordable unit in Alameda County, and as well as, we have some in adjoining counties too. The process is this. Okay, so what we do with, we update all of our affordable housing waiting lists, including new constructions, on a monthly basis. So we look through every website, we talk to our property managers, contacts. We ask them, do you have an open waiting list this year, this month? We list that and we listed it open and closed. So during a month's time, we could have waiting lists opening and closing all month. Our data is fresh. We can recommend you check it once a month for new listings because it's always popping up. At any given time in Alameda County, we have over 200 waiting lists that are open at a time. That doesn't mean you're eligible for every one of them, but you'll be eligible for some of them. So that's why we ask you to keep checking back. We'll do that. We'll do all the grunt work for you. Not that you don't need to do some of that grunt work, but we'll do all the searching for you to find those listings open for you to look at. So when someone calls 211, our operators will actually kind of match the caller with properties in their eligible price range based on their income and family size. Then the 211 will provide information on the property, the address, the phone number, application link if available, and the dates when the application must be submitted. 211 does not have applications. A lot of people think we have applications, but we don't. We don't hold applications, nor do we take them. The caller has to go pick up an application at the site of the property, or they can ask them to be mailed. These days, property managers are a little more willing to mail applications because of COVID. And also there are oftentimes online applications. So if that's available, we'll tell our callers. The caller then will fill out the application, as William was saying, submit it to the property during that period of time where the open waiting lists are there, and it's very important to submit it on time. Applying for affordable housing is free initially. To get on the list, it's free. And the credit check is only due once your name comes to the top of the list, okay? Once you're called for a unit, as William was saying, you're going to do all your due diligence with your income verifications and your all the other ID, and you must pass a credit check and background check in most cases. And if you're denied, as Daniel was saying, you can appeal it with additional information. Clients are strongly encouraged to track their applications by maintaining a master list and always updating their contact information if it changes. 50% of my clients who could have gotten into affordable housing if they had maintained their correct contact information, because a lot of people forget to where they apply, so they forget to change that contact information. So it's important, always important to have a solid mailing address. You need a PO box if you don't have a solid mailing address or a location where you know your mail's going to come, because affordable housing is going to send you questions and notifications during the waiting period, like, are you still interested in staying on the list? If you're not, if you are, please respond within a certain period of time. And if you don't respond, they're going to take your name off the list. So you need to constantly check your mail and make sure you're getting it and responding correctly. We always encourage people to apply as many places as possible. We don't know how long, we're not told how long these waiting lists are. So we're told, we just say, just apply everywhere you can. We are also happy to say we have our website's always been there, but it's now upgraded, nice and easier to use, plenty of pictures, lots of great detail, and it gives you all of the open waiting lists in the county in Alameda at a given point in time. It's constantly changing. You could check it twice a month, you probably find new listings, okay? And we are trying to capture every affordable housing waiting list in the county. We scrounge all over to find all of the developers and just put all of the affordable housing in one place. So it's a truly one-stop shop. And as well as listings on there, we have a lot of helpful sites, as you can see on the menu here, that it lists property management companies, legal sites. Let's see, lots of opportunities for other kinds of things, and a lot of frequently asked questions about general questions about housing and affordable housing and what is it and what do I do and types of things like that. A lot of stuff we're going over today. Okay, if you're looking for a regular rental, we also list those, as I said. And the 211 call center also provides just that information, the same as I described in the affordable, the property name, the phone number, the contact information. And it's the same kind of system, but it's just a regular market rate unit. We list them usually for about 30 days. So if you call one of them, they may already be rented. So we don't know if those places are all rented, but we don't list them for a long period of time, just as long as the landlord requests. So we have those in there too. We also have shared housing, and we also have room and board. A room and board there's an excellent website for room and board in Alameda County called ilacalifornia.org. It's at the bottom of the screen here. You can Google ILA, which stands for Independent Living Association, Alameda County, and you'll get this website. Maybe someone could pop it into the screen for me at some point. I will later. That will give you listings of room and boards and a nice website with lots of pictures and details and things like that. If you need financial or legal assistance staying housed or moving into a new unit, 211 call center also provides information on housing related services like deposit assistance, back rent assistance, financial assistance on utility bills, legal aid, transitional housing, and the coordinated entry system, which I'm going to talk about now. It's complicated, but I'm going to try to clarify it and simplify it for people because I know there's been a lot of questions about how 211 handles the coordinated entry. Okay, so follow along with me. Try to see if you can follow the details. I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. You can maybe be able to answer questions later. When a person is experiencing homelessness, there are access points to the coordinated entry system. Now, the coordinated entry system is basically to ensure that unhoused callers and clients with the highest risk and safety factors identified by standard assessment are matched to the currently scarce housing resources in the county. So it's a system that was put in place to give people who are high risk a better shot at getting into resources. And so it's a way of funneling people through a system and getting them prioritized so that they can be prioritized for special pot of resources that are held by the coordinated entry system. And that's only eligible to this, what we call the CES system, okay? 211 doesn't have access to that stuff. There's special supportive housing units and maybe some funding and things like that, but that's all through the CES. That's why somebody mentioned it's so important to call 211 or get into the coordinated entry if you are experiencing homelessness, because at least that pot is available to you. You may not get it right away, but at least you're in line for those kind of resources. So the way it works is people who are experiencing homelessness will call 211. On the initial 211 call, the operator does an intake and asks questions about a caller's housing status. If the caller is determined to be literally homeless based on HUD's guidelines, which are on the streets, in a car, shelter, transitional housing, and has not been assessed by a housing resource center, 211 will connect them to the housing resource center. So you go from here to here, and these are the housing resource center, which we have several of them in the county. And based on where the caller is or has the most connection to, 211 will refer them to that particular resource center with a warm handoff, which is basically The 211 operator will say, hold on a moment, let me get the Housing Resource Center on the phone. Say we'll call Berkeley, the North County Resource Center. We'll say, you know, I have Mrs. Smith on the phone. I'm going to hand you off to Mr. Ward here at the Housing Resource Center, and then we'll hang up, and that will be it. So they'll transfer them that way. If the Housing Resource Center is not available, we will give the caller the Housing Resource contact information so that they can connect themselves with it. So then once that's done, the Housing Resource Center will do their own assessment and figure out like the vulnerability, the safety issues with this caller, and they will put them in a by name list, okay? And that by name list will be an active list. It's kind of an ongoing list based on people's scores and vulnerability. They get resources, you know, based on that. So a lot of the resources that the Housing Resource Center can offer are, first of all, housing problem solving for everybody, flex funding for some people, and that's maybe a deposit assistance or some subsidies, connections to some resources, and support with housing applications for others. They do a crisis assessment with some people that are willing to go into a shelter or transitional housing, and they also do a housing assessment for others that have income. Once a caller has, this is important because this is a lot of confusion about this, but once a caller has been referred to the Housing Resource Center by the 211 call center, we have no more access to their status of their case. And many people do call back and say, what's going on with my case? You know, like I called the Housing Resource Center, I haven't gotten a call back. We are not able to look into the case, but we can only refer them back to the Housing Resource Center. We encourage those who've been waiting for a callback from the CES, because that often happens once you've gotten into the system. You may not get a callback right away. We encourage everyone to continue looking for other resources outside of the CES system, like transitional housing, which we have in our database, and like room and boards, which I gave you the website, and we also have those in our database. And also affordable housing, which I mentioned earlier. All of the affordable housing is outside the CES system. There's a few units that are within that system, but most of it's outside. So you can always refer to the database.
Pam, just so you know, you are frozen.
Am I frozen now? No?
It's better now, thanks.
Okay. And then last but not least, we do have an in-house caseworker program called AHIP. And that was, that's a program that was developed in 1996, and it's for anyone living with HIV. It's a in-house program. You can refer to our phone number here is 510-537-2600. I'm sorry I didn't get it on the slide, but it's 877-424-3746 for toll free. I can repeat that. Its confidential phone number is 510-537-2600. And that's a service will offer housing case management basically to anyone living with HIV or AIDS, all kinds of services, as well as connecting them with resources and things like that. So, all right, so that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I hope this gave you some insight into how 211 can assist in finding affordable housing units.
Thank you so much, Pam. Helpful, and we have questions coming in, and we look forward to answering them after we hear from Sarah Scruggs, who works for the Northern California Land Trust, coordinating community education, policy, and stewardship activities. And she has worked with affordable housing nonprofits and tenant advocates for many years before this position. So welcome, Sarah. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much. And it's great to be here with such a group of people. I already learned a lot from what you all shared. And so thank you for that. So the Northern California Land Trust is one of 5 community land trusts that exist in the East Bay. 3 of us have affordable housing. 2 of us are just getting started and will be acquiring affordable housing. We typically acquire existing housing, so rental buildings that go up for sale, and we partner with the tenants in order to purchase those and take them off the speculative market and keep them as permanently affordable housing. And we actually might be building some new housing in the near future. So, community land trusts can acquire existing housing. They can also buy new housing. So a community land trust, the way we keep things permanently affordable is we have a ground lease that it's for 99 years. That's because legally that's as long as we can have it. So it keeps it in use as affordable housing with affordability restrictions for 99 years, and then we just renew that. So that is our commitment, and that is our goal. And the idea is, see, you see the blue line there, the cost of the structure of something on top of the land, like a home or an apartment building, rises pretty steadily. It's the land value that goes all over the place. So we're trying to take the cost of land out of the equation in order to keep things permanently affordable. And we're using public subsidies and other forms of funding in order to make that happen. So these are the different types of housing that we have on the land. So single family homes, limited equity housing co-ops, multifamily rentals, limited equity condos. So there's lots of different types. And there are even people who have moved from some of our affordable rentals into some type of ownership. And there are tenants that when we buy their buildings, they choose to work with us to convert it to an ownership structure, most likely a limited equity housing cooperative, or even a zero equity housing cooperative, which would give them control over some of the management decisions that get made where they live. So our application and selection process. If you go to our website, which I will go there very quickly because that was a really helpful thing that Daniel did. So when you go to our website, nclt.org, this is our page, and you can click on current openings and it'll take you right here, whatever we have available at the time. And this one right here isn't available right now. This is in East Oakland, but it's coming soon. So we might have vacancies that are, stay tuned. And you can also fill out our pre-application form in order for us to put you on a list so that you get the announcements about any vacancy that we have open. And there are times where we send out vacancies that other community land trusts have open, or maybe some, limited equity housing cooperatives or other types of housing that people that we're partnering with let us know about. Let me go back, of course. Sorry, guys, hold on a second. Nah, I knew this was going to happen. All right. So, we like people to attend an open house or be able to watch an orientation video. Through COVID, we've been doing that through online, unfortunately. We've also been, taking people one by one through places so that they can see them as well. We want to make sure that you meet the income requirements. Some places, have a household size requirement. It can't be larger than a certain number of people. If it's a home ownership opportunity, we'll be talking about mortgage readiness and your credit score. And then you want to make sure that you submit your application with all the required documentation by the due date. And William did a really good job, and Kathy too, talking about some of the things that you need to keep in mind and keep fresh so that you can be able to submit that documentation with your application. And then in the selection process, similar to what Daniel went over, depending on where the opening is, there may be local preferences per Berkeley city law or Oakland city law. We even have some stuff in San Francisco per San Francisco law that'll be detailed there. Household size preferences. Sometimes we, when we're looking at how do we determine who the final candidates are, we'll be looking at household size. So if it's a 2-bedroom, we might be preferring 3 and 4 member households as a preference. And then if needed, there might be a random lottery to select finalists. If we have more people that, qualify per all of the income requirements and like meet the local preferences or the household size preferences. But oftentimes we have interviews with the finalists. Especially if it could be a rental that has some more collective decision making that happens. So we'll have 5 or 6 finalists, and we'll do interviews. Questions will be sent to people ahead of time so that they can prepare. And we'll go through and ask the same questions to every single candidate, and you'll get to ask your own questions of the residents that live there and of NCLT staff at the end. And those interviews will be scored at the end of each interview. And then NCLT staff collect those, and those scores will help determine the final selection of the person that we'll offer the vacancy to. Now, some of our rentals don't have an interview component because the residents have decided that they're not prepared to do that yet. But it's something that we do recommend. And often in our applications, there will be a vision for the community that the residents have worked with NCLT staff to put together so that you understand who the community is that you might be becoming a part of. And then there's always an opportunity to be a member of our board. Per law and our practice, a third of our board are residents of the Community Land Trust. And this is a picture of Reneel right here, who is a resident of a limited equity condo, giving a tour to people from the community and also staff and board. So we really, really encourage CLT residents to become part of what we're doing. And they could also become part of what we're doing, even not as residents, just as community stakeholders or people that have certain expertise that the land trust could benefit from. And we're small. We have 113 units, homes across the Bay Area, but we are growing very rapidly. I was the 6th hire for the organization. They had been 5 people for a very long time, and now we're 10. And we're growing very quickly. And we have goals to acquire as much housing as possible to keep it permanently affordable and build more, and to work with community partners to pass pieces of legislation like the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act to make that possible, to make sure that there are public subsidies that are local, county, state wide to make that possible, and working with land trusts across the state. There's over 35 across the state and growing, and other nonprofit affordable housing developers and community groups and tenant rights advocates to make all of this happen as one big community that cares about housing justice in the state of California. And that is it. So you guys will have access to these slides with our website, email, and then also phone number. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing that. And thank you to all our panelists for sharing what you know. I really appreciate Kathy and William, you sharing your experiences, which clarify so much how the details are really important. And then Sarah, Pam, and Daniel sharing the details, how to navigate and get through the process from your end. I really appreciate that. We have a number of questions, and so we have about 15 minutes left, and so I am going to pose one. And some of the questions that people posed were, for example, asking for telephone numbers, and we typed in the answers, so I'm not going to ask those aloud. But an early question was, how does an unhoused person or a homeless person or family manage to raise the first and last month's rent and deposits? And Daniel, I know you answered in the chat, but I think a lot of people will have this question, so I'm curious if you or other panelists, such as William or Kathy, have an answer to that question.
Yeah, I'll kind of start off, and then others can elaborate. So when we set aside units for homeless families and individuals, we often know that first month's rent and deposit is going to be a challenge. So we usually have service organizations that we partner with. And then when we're doing that intake, we would ask them if they need assistance. And if they say that they need assistance, we would start the paperwork with whatever organization we're partnered with to get a check for first month's rent and deposit so that we get that covered for that family. Ongoing, if there's rental issues or issues paying the rent challenges, we have a services department that helps with emergency rental assistance. I also mentioned that usually our units that are set aside for homeless populations come with a Section 8 voucher, so their rent would be a portion of their income. So affordable relative to them.
Great, thank you. William or Kathy, do you have any experience with how you may have paid first or last month or security deposit?
Well, with me going to Spark Point, this is Kathy Eberhardt. With me going to Spark Point and helping with financial coaching and things like that, they assisted me on telling me how to save the money for it and all the steps. They gave me guidance. So a place like Spark Point for financial planning, and it's free also. It's free. So I would take advantage of that.
And this is William Goodwin. As I mentioned, Shelter Inc. Is another organization that actually has financial resources to help with your first and last, with your deposit. In fact, they're there through the whole process, through the application fee and the background check. That's why I gave them a plug. I know from experience and hearing from others that I know that they're really good at providing financial resources for people who don't have it and need that help to get housed.
And I just want to add that we also allow people to do payment plans. If it's absolutely necessary, we're not going to require all that money up front, but we'll set up a plan that makes it possible for them to pay that off over time.
But let's see, I just wanted to, William was talking about Shelter Inc. I think that's a Contra Costa agency, right? Yeah. So, and then for Alameda County, we have season of sharing, but it has limited eligibilities. You have to be disabled or a senior or with minor children. And it is, I strongly recommend trying to save as much as you can, because you don't want to get to that place where you just, you're being offered a unit and then you don't have those funds to pick it up. So it's always better to be on the safe side, because you never can be guaranteed that you'll be covered. But usually, I think a deposit is usually about the same as a rent amount. Is that correct, Daniel?
It really depends. For some Section 8 programs, the deposit is the amount of first month's rent. For other programs, the deposit could be anywhere from, I think our deposits are as low as like $150 or $300 for a studio. 1 bedrooms are $300, 2 bedrooms $500, 3 bedrooms $750 to $1,000 in that 4-bedroom range. So far less than a market rate.
Right. Far less, yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Another question from Ginny is that Ginny shared Ginny's experience that the rent has gone up and they're now paying more than they're bringing in and draining down their savings. And the heart of the question is that Ginny's not yet in desperate straits, but that day is coming closer. And I hear in Ginny's question attention about needing help, and then also recognizing that maybe Ginny doesn't need help as urgently as somebody, say, living on the streets. And so I'm curious if you have a suggestion for somebody in this position about, you've given great information about how to apply, but any advice on why to start applying now. And also Daniel or Sarah, you also might be able to share that, people, there's different slots, right, of homes in some buildings that are designated for certain populations and not for others. And so actually it might be fit for somebody who has some savings to be put in a apartment that's a different income level, and that wouldn't necessarily be in direct competition with somebody living on the streets. Can someone clarify that a little bit for our listeners?
Yeah, I'll start off. So savings rarely disqualifies somebody from affordable housing. I think there's this misconception that if you have, some amount of savings in the bank, even if it's 50,000, 100,000, that you'll be disqualified. We actually do a interest calculation on any amounts that are above $5,000. We also look at any income that you're getting from those savings. Generally, any interest coming from a savings account is going to be really low. So we would count that interest into the annual income for the household. I always tell people, when in doubt, just apply. Not just because you might be surprised what you qualify for, but you don't know where you're going to be in that 2 to 3 years that it could take you to come to the top of a waiting list. It really pays to submit your application if you see that somewhere on the horizon you're going to need access to more affordable housing.
Yeah, and I agree with everything Daniel just said. Savings never disqualifies somebody. The only time I've had it be an issue is with ownership housing when I'm trying to get somebody qualified for a down payment assistance program. I got to look at their savings and I got to take a certain percentage of that and add it to their income. And then it might put them over the income limit. And I'm always like, no, this should not be the case. They need this down payment assistance. But when it's coming to a vacancy, that has never been an issue for us as far as how we're required to calculate income.
I also want to mention what Grover was saying about competing with other people that are homeless. There's a whole range of affordable housing that, people don't realize that they can be working and making a pretty good income and qualify. And those lists that are the higher price lists have shorter waiting lists. So you can get into something that's got a higher AMI, like an 80 or 80 or 50 or 60, something up there. And you won't wait as long as somebody who's waiting for something that's a lower or deeply subsidized unit. So, encourage you to look for affordable units that you're qualified for, and you could just start getting on lists right now, I would say. And I also look for new constructions, as William was saying, that have more access to more quicker unit turnarounds, and 211 does list those new upcoming interest lists in their database too, as well.
Yes, thank you. And also, when I send the follow-up email, or maybe Kiki can drop it in the chat, Alameda County is now listing all properties that are funded with A1 funding on a specific site. So it'll be, if you are looking specifically at new housing in Alameda County, they'll often be there as well.
Can I say something about that?
Sure.
That is the new website, AC Gov. Let's see. It's called
Kiki just put it in the chat.
Yeah. Now I wanted to be clear.
Gov.
I wanted to be very clear about something. We list the same listings that they do, so that those websites are running parallel, but ours is a complete, fully populated list. They have the new A1 bond housing. They're eventually going to completely fill out their new website with hopefully all of the properties in Alameda County. We support the county in doing that, but in the meantime, everybody should not think they go to two lists. You can go to the Alameda one just for more information and the pretty pictures and stuff. But as this ship moves down the road, we're both running in parallel, and we'll have all of the stuff in there for you.
Great,
Yeah,
thank you.
I just want to add that, like Mid-Penn, other affordable housing developers in the Bay Area, Eden, EAH, Bridge, there's several others, have websites that are very similar to Mid-Penn's, and also will publish, any new properties that they have on the horizon, and they'll have interest lists and they'll have information about how to apply. So I think William mentioned that earlier, that he got really familiar with some of the affordable housing developers, and then just regularly checking those websites so that you can kind of see what's on the horizon and get your name in the hat early.
Yes.
But I will say that we do all that work already.
Okay.
We'd go through every single website, do everything, every month, every day. So we are doing a lot of that work for you. So you can be confident that when you go through, and if you feel better looking at them, you know, and getting on their inquiry lists, as you said, Daniel, we encourage that, but I just wanted people kind of, so they don't spend a lot of time doing a lot of extra work.
Yeah, I actually looked at your website and was impressed. It's a great resource.
Great. Yes, thank you. And I will drop it in the chat again, that website. And actually Pam's organization has 2 events next week on that topic to learn more. But I want to get to another question before we run out of time. And one of the questions is specifically for you, Pam. It's a very technical question. Do you have data on the percent of unhoused, of 211 referrals of people who are experiencing homelessness that ultimately receive housing?
No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't have that data.
Okay.
And you know, it's impossible for really us to collect that data because we don't do follow-up with our callers. We wish we did, we wish we knew that. But at the time, like when I did my case management work, 30% of my clients were housed in housing, but I would say, I don't know what the 211 data is.
Thank you. We have another question. Daniel is typing an answer, but the question is, I lost my job to COVID and I haven't been able to pay all my rent. So if I do get into a unit that's affordable for my daughter and I, will they look at my credit as negative because I couldn't pay it all on time? And I don't know what you're saying, Daniel, but before you answer, I just want to say that this is very complicated by the rental assistance that's currently being offered for people who weren't able to pay rent based on COVID. And I'm hoping one of my colleagues can drop our COVID-19 policy link in the chat, which we did a whole webinar on COVID rental assistance, and we have links to how to apply for and get COVID rental assistance for unpaid back rent. And so if that is, there's various policy things that might impact you not having bad credit at the end of this. And Daniel, I will let you take the rest of the answer.
Yeah, I'll just say what I was going to type. So COVID changed things a little bit for us, and we've tried to be really sensitive to situations that people have, been exposed to due to COVID, job losses and whatnot. So usually what we would do is we would work with our partners, whether it's the city, the county, and we would say, look, we have people that are impacted by COVID. Generally, our resident selection criteria will state that if you have like excess late payment that shows up in the landlord verification, that we could deny. Usually we're going to say, okay, you've got a few late payments, that's fine, that's understandable. No evictions or anything like that on your record, you're usually fine. But with COVID, we've really taken that into consideration, and we've been able to overlook a lot of issues that people have had on their credit report due to COVID, as long as they can demonstrate that it fits that COVID timeline. We do have some programs that allow us to mitigate negative marks on the credit score. A lot of times that's tied to units that are set aside for homeless individuals or individuals that are at risk of homelessness. So I hope that answers the question.
I just want to add, we've been having this discussion internally because we're not necessarily required, to only accept people with a certain credit score because of the type of funding that we usually use. And so we're trying to be as flexible as possible in following up with the references that people give us, so that we're looking at a fuller picture of people's ability to pay and their history and what's actually been going on with them, besides just the number that we see come out of the credit score. So we're actually working on a process to do that right now and to be systematic about how we do that, and to have as fair of a system as possible when we can.
Do you want sushi?
Thank you. William, I saw you unmuted.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to that question about data on people being housed through 211. That information is usually collected at the county level. It's in the Homeless Management Information System. And I know for Contra Costa County, it's with Health, Housing, and Homeless Services, H3. They collect that data, and I would imagine it's the same with Alameda County and throughout the state, that if you go to the county level somewhere, they will have that data collected.
Thank you. We are nearing the end of our time together. And so I just want to give a heartfelt thanks to our panelists for sharing what you know, and also to everyone who attended and asked questions. Thank you so much. Your questions were really helpful in moving the conversation along. And to everyone who's listening via recording, please stay in touch. ebho.org. You can sign up for our emails, and in the follow-up email, I'll share links to each of the organizations that our panelists are affiliated with, and many of the links shared in the chat, and also our slides as mentioned. So thank you so much. Good luck. Have a good afternoon.